Hi everyone, thank you for joining today. My name is Monique Delauz and I am author of 8 Words. I am here with you today to continue my author spotlight series that I have the good fortune of speaking to a good friend today, Henery X. Long. We started our journey 2 years ago, and Henery has done some really great things. With his writing, he has written fiction, nonfiction, and I like to think of him as like a motivational speaker. So I'm just waiting for him to join us here. Henery, whenever you're ready to join, just send me the request and I am ready for you. I'm hoping some of your viewers can join us as well. I had the good fortune of Henery doing my first interview as an author with 8 Words, my psychological thriller that I released in 2019, and Henery and I had a great conversation. I was also able to read his book, Positive Energy 24/7. I wish I could show it to you, but I loaned it to someone, and we know how that goes. It never comes back. So I am looking forward to speaking to him today about his 3 works he has published in 2018, 19, and 20. And so I really am looking forward to you hearing him speak, because he speaks like no other, and it's just great. And anyway, so we're gonna wait for him here. Let me just check in. So Annie Belly Boo, thank you for coming. I appreciate you joining. Eric San Tamaro, thank you for joining. And SoFlo Livin 561, thank you for joining. I'm assuming that's South Florida. And let's see, I think I'm gonna bring in Henery now. Hi, back again, Annie. Annie, tell us if you're a writer as well, if you are a fellow Henery fan. Hi, Henery.
How you doing, Monique?
I am good. So good to see you. It has been quite some time, sir.
Yes, it has been a while.
I was just,
But absent make the heart grow fonder.
let's hope so, right? I was just telling the viewers, I don't know if you caught it while you were signing on, that you and I met about 2 years ago. I think it might have been even more, that you did my first interview in releasing my psychological thriller 8 Words, and that I got to interview you with Positive Energy 24/7. I told them that I didn't have my physical copy because I loaned it, and of course you know how that goes, you never get it back. So of course they got my good copy with all my notes. There you go, you have a copy, thank you. And we'll be discussing all 3 of your works. I was letting them know that you released in 2018, 19, and 20, so you've been quite busy.
Yes.
And
I have 22 too.
And
I don't have it.
to
Yes.
find out what you have coming up. So I guess just to start, you're a different author than most. I was telling everyone that I like to think of you as just a motivational speaker, and then you put that all into books. And I find that quite amazing, because I think that's very hard for people to do. Henery and I actually did not speak about questions in advance or anything about our topics, because the conversation is so fluid with him. And so I'm really excited to have you, and thank you for your time this evening.
I appreciate you for asking me to join you on your platform. It's a great honor.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking with me again. I have a feeling we'll be doing this back and forth for years to come, and I love it.
I love it too. Yes, ma'am.
So, hi, Sawai. Thank you for joining. Tell me, Henery, then let's start with your inspiration for writing and how you got to be where you're at now. Maybe people personally in your life who have inspired you, as well as maybe other authors or writings. How did you get to where you are today with your writing?
Well, as it was with so many other writers, I started out as a reader. I was an avid reader, and I've read over 400 books thus far. And as I was reading, I was just in awe how these authors were able to captivate my attention for hours on end. It was amazing to me. I looked at that as power. That was some great power for them to just have me engrossed in their work like that. It started in the daytime and it'd be night. I'm still reading. That was power to me. I said, I want that. I want that power. So I like to say I started writing for the wrong reason. I wanted attention. So, I started writing it. It was getting a little attention. But it wasn't until I stopped writing to see how people felt about my work and me start showing people how I felt about them. That's when my writing took on a whole nother life of its own, right? And but before I started writing creatively, because I was writing, but we talk about writing creatively, and I believe a creative writer is one who can write words that'll bring about a specific result. Specific. It means the result that he actually wanted to produce. That is a creative writer to me. To me. So before I started that journey, I studied the dictionary for 5 years.
Wow.
Because I wanted to familiarize myself with words, the proper words to combine together to bring about the result I was looking for, right?
Was that suggested to you, or you just came up with that?
What to read the dictionary?
Yes, yes.
No, that was all a part of my that was a part of my plan, my formula. It was all a part of my formula. And after I read the dictionary, now I'm like, what do we all have in common? What do we as humans all have in common? So I started the process of elimination with that, and I said we all like to feel good. We all like to feel like we matter. So that was going to be the route I took when I wrote my pieces. They were going to be feel-good pieces. And I came up with the 3 E's: encouragement, enlightenment, and entertainment. And that has been how I have been writing ever since, those 3 E's. And I've been writing consecutively for over 10,000 days.
I saw that on your Instagram recently. How has that been?
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful because it's not work. It's a pleasure. I love it. I love writing every day. I love it. A lot of people call things a chore or a job, or me, it's my purpose. And when you're doing your purpose, there's pleasure in it. So it's a great pleasure in me doing my purpose, which is right.
I love that. I actually, on one of your reviews I was looking at, actually mentioned the encouragement, enlightenment, and entertainment. And when I read that, I said, oh my God, that's like the perfect way to capture what he does, because I have actually watched, God, dozens and dozens of your videos, primarily of The Positive Place,
Yes.
and many other things that you've posted and your readings. And that's something that I also wanted to ask you about is you do, as you mentioned, want to help other writers, and when you're helping others, you feel better. So tell me a little bit about the other things you do. I see you've started a blog. I see you do Positive Place, which you've been doing for quite some time, because I know I participated in that as a speaker, but more importantly as a viewer on many a times. And it really helped me end my night well, because it was just so great and so positive. And you weren't just highlighting other authors, but again, to just make it an experience for people where they felt motivated. And I thought that was a great way to end the night. So many a times I sat on my patio with a glass of wine and heard your motivational words, and the wine and the motivation helped me to feel better.
The combination.
The combination, I gotta be real. So tell me a little bit about The Positive Place. I know you have a blog. I looked at that earlier today. And I also saw recently the Clubhouse. So tell me a little bit about this work that you're doing with other authors, and what results, as you say, these specific results make a writer. What results have that brought about for you or the writing community?
Well, I'm a firm believer that every writer, especially every creative writer, needs to be a published author, because our words represent us in our physical absence. So what better way to be represented than in a book? Like I was telling somebody earlier, I'd never been to London, but I got 4 books over in London. So I have been to London. I'm in London right now with my books. My words represent me. My books represent me, right? So I like to tell people, when you write, you should always want to be well represented. You should always want to be well represented. So I came up with the hashtag "Write on Purpose with Purpose."
I like that.
Always,
Right on
right?
purpose with purpose.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. So because your words represent you when you're not around. Your the words that you write down. So um, I I just love helping other people to be in the best possible position to help themselves. See, I'm always saying things, and I be wanting them to be heard clearly, right? I'm not gonna always be around to help people, but if I can give them something that they can use to help them, not only in what they're doing now, but in everything they do. Everything. I'm talking about, it doesn't matter what you do. If you're trying to succeed at it, this right here will help you. If I
Right.
can do that, I'll feel like, I've done my purpose. I've served my purpose. So to date, I've helped 40 people go from writers to authors. I have 40 people. My goal is to help at least 100 people.
Wow.
And everything, I do is to spotlight other people. It's to spotlight them, their books, them. And you spoke about the club situation.
Yeah, the clubhouse.
This right here, yes, this right here this is beautiful. This is beautiful. This is genius too, and not just because I did it, because of how it's gonna come out, right?
Right.
I know a whole bunch of people. I'm talking about a whole bunch on this platform and on other platforms, but on this one, we're talking about Instagram. I know a whole bunch of people. The majority of people don't know each other, but they all know me. So if I can get them all in one space, then how they know me, they'll get to know each other.
I see.
So, and it's a writing space, all writing, all the time. We're talking about we're not writing, but we're talking about the aspects of writing, of being a creative writer, right? And, all kinds of topics. But it's all about us becoming better writers, and just as importantly, better human beings. That is a great thing.
That is. So Positive Place is more of like kind of what we're doing, an author spotlight, and the clubhouse is, so that would be maybe more for the readers and the viewers, even though writers, like I always joined, are motivated by it. And then the clubhouse is more focus on the writing community and how we can help one another.
Yes. So that is a clubhouse.
I like it. I'm gonna have to join that now. You're gonna keep me busy now 2 times a week with the Positive Energy and clubhouse. So one thing that I really remember about Positive Energy 24/7 and reading that and annotating it and taking notes, I remember how it struck me that even through the positive energy that you were communicating and the message that you were relaying your readers, you still talked about those negative times that you had, and they were very real, very authentic, very raw. It wasn't like I had a bad day at work and I just learned to drink a coffee and take a walk and I'm just better. There was real hurt and experience. I remember reading about a time that you were homeless. I remember us talking about it still till this day, 2 years later. In reading your blog, I read a quote about losses essentially being as important as the positive things. And what I like is you really present a balance to your readers. You're not just saying, smile every day, everything's perfect, you're always blessed, everything's amazing. You're saying there are losses, but those are opportunities to learn and become better as well. So how have some of your losses, and you could either mention the situation or not, but how have your losses shaped you into being a better person or a better writer?
Well, everything in life has an opposite. It's duality. That's how we stay balanced. Until we embrace that, quote unquote, negative side, until we embrace that, just like we embrace that positive side, we're always going to be at an imbalance. There's always going to be an imbalance. See, because that negative side makes us appreciate the positive side appropriately. I had wrote something, it was saying, you got a favorite meal, right? I mean, you love this meal. You eat this meal once a week, right? It's your favorite meal of all the things you eat. It's your favorite meal, but you only eat it once a week. Just say, for whatever reason, this is the only meal you had to eat for the rest of your life. How long would that meal be your favorite?
Not long. It would get tiring.
See, that's the beautiful thing about options. When you have options, your favorite meal will always be your favorite meal because you're not eating it all the time, right? You need options. And we need an option when it comes to positivity. We need an option. We need negativity, right? When something negative happens, we can either let that control us or we can be like, I'm going to focus on this positive. That happened. I can't do nothing about it. I'm about to focus on the positive. But every time that happens, it's always a lesson and it's a blessing if you get out of your emotions. If you get out of your emotions, and you got to step outside of it so you can see it, because when we inside of negativity, we can't comprehend it properly. We have to get on the outside of it. That's like when I was homeless, I had to experience that from the inside, so when I got on the outside of it, I know how to deal with it properly. I know how to help other people get out. I had to experience it first so that I can go back and let them know I can really relate to what you're going through. I was there. So, all this came about over time. I had to get out of those situations. So like I said, I could look at it from the outside looking in. I couldn't comprehend it on the inside of it because, I was in it and I was emotional. I was upset. I'm like, why me? All that, But when I got on the outside of it, I like, okay, that was a lesson. Now I do everything in my power not to be in that position again. You see what I'm saying? That's another beautiful thing about it. Once you experience something, like if you burn your hand on the stove for the first time, now you know. Don't put your hand on a hot stove. Experience. That's the lesson. Don't do it again. That's the lesson. But if you burn yourself, and then you do it again tomorrow, you're not learning the lesson. You're not learning the lesson. You're supposed to learn that the first time. That didn't feel too good, So, yeah, negative and positive, you need both of them.
You mentioned that duality. It's definitely a duality. It's a dichotomy. But that's what I loved about your book, that despite it being motivational and positive, it's mentioning real life situations. It's your day-to-day real life aggravation, and it's also something as impactful as experiencing homelessness. That same duality, one of the reviews I was reading, again, on positive energy, and I'll discuss the other ones too, but I love that one so much that you released in 2018. Another duality that I really love that you present and remind readers is that while you are doing good for others, you also need to self-preserve. So can you tell us a little bit about how you can balance that? Because I know I find that very difficult. I actually got off the phone with a friend about an hour before, and we were talking about, giving to others in not expecting anything in return, but also sometimes you give so much without receiving anything that you become depleted. So in this work, you also mentioned that duality, how you balance self-preservation along with doing good for others. Before you tell us about that, I just wanted to mention Poet PIMP joining, MS Addy, and Born to Write. Thank you for joining us. We are just talking about positive energy 24/7, the work that Henery released in 2018, and he's going to tell us about the duality of how we can self-preserve. There's his work. You can find it on Amazon very easily, as well as the other works we're discussing today. And you can also go on his website, follow him on Instagram. It's also there as well with some other things that he sells, like apparel and whatnot. So we were just going to talk about self-preservation and doing good for others. How do you balance that duality?
Well, let me make mention of self-preservation first, right? I used to think that self-preservation was the I, right? Me. And it is to a certain extent. But self-preservation is the we and the us, right? if I got 10 people that surrounded me, and I'm making sure all 10 of those people are eating, I'm making sure they're good, right? They're gonna make sure I'm good, right? Not just because I'm making sure they're good as far as eating and staying alive, because they love me, because I'm doing right by them, right? So
Right.
that's self-preservation. I take care of them, they take care of me. Self-preservation. Now let's flip it around. I got 10 people that surround me and I'm doing them bad. They starving, right? So somebody on the outside talking about they want to do something to me. They gonna open up a passageway so they can come in and do exactly what they want to do, right? So um self-preservation is deeper than I. It's we and us. When you're selfish, you're gonna suffer. You're gonna suffer when you're selfish, right? When you're not, you're gonna it's just gonna be a blissful life for you. It's gonna be a blissful life because we're all connected. This little speck of ball spirit that animates us, connects us all. This is what keeps us disconnected. This little thing here, our mind, our thinking, or lack thereof, right? When people think they're better than others because of the knowledge they have or the money they possess or the status that they have, that is what puts us in bad places, right? Um, and when it comes to replenishing my energy, because I do give a lot, I give a
Right.
lot, a whole lot. When it comes to replenish my energy, right? A lot of people that I give to, they just don't have it to give back. They don't have it to give back, right? But I got so many other people that do. And I go to them and I just listen to them and they just feed me. They feed me. See, they not looking to be fed. They not look because they getting fed somewhere else. So they feed me because they probably know I need it. So they feed me, right? And it's not just one person. I'm going all over because I don't want to, empty their pantry. I want to empty their pantry. Give me a couple of loaves of bread, a bowl of soup. I'm gone. Then I'm gonna go over here and get, a sandwich or something. Go over here and get this. But by the end of the day, I'm replenished and I'm ready to go back about, doing the work of the Most High. So, it's a beautiful thing, right? It's a beautiful thing. It's about the people you surround yourself with, right?
It
You're gonna
is.
surround yourself with like-minded people, right?
It
So when
is.
you got those kind of people and you're feeding people that you're trying to, the ones that need it most. Well, I'm talking about the ones that need to be fed the most, right? They just don't have it. They don't have it. But when you feed them, they're getting it. They're getting it. And you want to feed them to the point where they want to go feed themselves. That is the whole point. To give them just enough where they're like, okay, I'm about to start doing my own hunting, my own cooking, and my own eating. That's the goal. That's the goal. And if they don't get to that point at some point, then I gotta bid them a fond farewell. Because see, now they becoming energy vampires.
That's
They becoming
that's
energy vampires.
that's the important thing, and I love that you mentioned that. And again, I know I'm a broken record saying this, but the balance in which you present all of your ideas is so authentic, and it's something that people can really do. There's a lot of motivational
Yeah.
I've read or people I've spoken to, and I'm like, yeah, okay, in a perfect world, yeah, sure, I can do that. I wanted to mention Cobalt's, I'm assuming that means grandma, said that you're wonderful, you have great passion. And I also wanted to say thank you, Mitch Ray K, for joining, and JMLWPB. I appreciate your support in coming in. The duality in which you speak of, I love that you say we can self-preserve and help others. I love how you liken it to the pantry full of food. You can go around and give people food and you hope that they're doing the same. So this village concept of we take care of one
Yes.
another. But as
Yes.
you also recognize, there are some people that at a moment they might just be able to take. They're not in a place that they can give. And that's just being real. And sometimes I have to remind myself of that I can't
Mm-hmm.
expect what others can't give. It's not what they're not willing to, it's what they can't. I probably need to tattoo that on my forehead or my arms so I can keep reminding myself. But sometimes people aren't able to give. But I love
Well,
that
let
you
me
said,
let me say this. Let me say this, Monique.
yes,
This this is a beautiful thing. I just came up as we was just sitting here talking about this. be appreciative, right? Be appreciative for the attention that they give you as you're trying to feed them. Be appreciative of that, because that may be all they have to give is their attention, and they're tentative of trying to actually be fed. Because some people be like, you're trying to bless them, and they like, oh,
The fact that
yeah, they giving you their undivided attention. They are actually paying attention to what you're saying, right? That is giving back to you, right? Because they showing you respect. Yeah. I didn't either until we was just talking. I had just thought about it.
Yeah, you're right, because if they respect what you were saying, or respect you, they might not be willing to accept what you're saying at the moment.
Exactly.
But they respect you enough to listen. And I never thought about that. I think my friend Annie is listening. Annie, we're going to have to talk about that one tomorrow and pick up our conversation from earlier later. But I do love that you liken it to food and said that, sometimes you're giving to the group and the group gives back. And other times you need to go to that friend that can feed you back. So you keep your energy going. And that sometimes there are those people that you said are energy vampires, and you have to cut it off. But I love your concept of the community of writers, the community of readers, and people in general. As you said, when you were reading the dictionary, the common thing we have is that we all want to feel good. And when I taught high school, I say the same thing. Everybody wants to be loved and accepted, which means to feel good, right? And unfortunately, people pursue it the wrong ways. But I can totally see, and I've always been able to see, why kids got in trouble, because that's what they were seeking. They just didn't have that means. So speaking of pantry and the food liking, in 2020, you released the Gumbo Food for Thought, and this seems to be a collaborative effort with other writers, also along the motivational line. Can you tell us about how you thought of the idea of the Gumbo and kind of sum it up for us? There's the book copy. Thank you. How did you come up with the idea for Gumbo? Maybe it's part of what we were speaking of. And why did you decide to make it a collaborative effort?
Well, the Gumbo is an interesting story. The Gumbo is a book I had no intentions on writing, right, at all, period. I was in the process of writing another book. This happened twice to me. I was in the process of writing another book, the sequel to my second book. I was writing that. So it was a contest, and the contest was by this publication called The Gumbo. So they wanted submissions. I put a submission together. It was about power. So I had created an acronym for the word power, and the acronym is providing others with efficient, effective resources. Providing others with effective resources. That was the acronym for power. That's what I believe true power is, when you can help somebody be in a position to help themselves, right? So I started
to bring it back. You said writing, the purpose that you started with was power, but that you had a different idea of power then. Now your idea of power is providing others with effective resources. That's kind of like a full circle moment for you. I love that. I just had to point it out, but go ahead.
Right. So I started off my piece with that acronym. Then it was I think it was 7 questions on power, on what we thought power was, so on and so forth. Do we think that we can have power and not be corrupt? It was just all kinds of. So I answered these questions as best I could, right? I submitted it.
For the competition.
Yeah. For the publication called The Gumbo. It wasn't a competition. It was just they wanted submissions for their magazine. It's a magazine. It's a publication, a magazine. Okay. And they wanted entries, so they can put them in their magazine for this particular topic. I sent it. They rejected it. I felt some kind of way, because I really put some work in that. I felt some kind of way. It was some negative energy going on, right? I say, no, I'm not gonna let that. No. So, but I kept saying that publication name, the Gumbo. Who the Gumbo think they is? They rejected the Gumbo. The Gumbo. Then that's when the title of the book came, the
Okay.
gumbo, food for thought. Right? I wasn't just gonna name it the gumbo because that's the name of their publication. So I put the food for thought because all the information was gonna be to have you think. Right? That's what it's designed to do, to have you think. And then I put the overeating is recommended. That was just some extra. Right? So I started the gumbo January 1st of 2020. January 1st. I finished the gumbo in April.
I
I
wanted
finished
to
that
say
book.
you wrote it in a few months. I remember you
Yes,
starting to post pieces on Instagram about it,
yes,
and I was
yes,
reading it, and I felt like I had one of those little like devotional books that you read one a day, you know, like
yeah,
365, whatever,
yeah,
whatever for the year. And that's what I felt like. So every time I was reading it, I read that, and I remember you commenting how fast this project was going. And 4 months is like crazy fast. And then it developed into a collaborative effort in the writing community.
yeah.
But I
Well,
remember
what
that was
happened was,
so fast.
what happened was, I was supposed to write. The book supposed came out in 2021, January of 2021. I was supposed to write because it was 366 days in 2020. It's 366 ingredients in this book. I was supposed to write an ingredient a day. I write too much for that. So I said aloud to nobody but myself that I was going to write 10 a day. So that accelerated the process a bit, right? Um, then I had the bright idea to invite other writers to co-create with me. And that accelerated the process even more. And that's why I went from 12 months, a little over 12 months, to 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason why I reached out to these individuals because it's the same reason why I do what I do. I wanted to give them recognition. I wanted people to see their work as well as mine, right? Even though the reason why I didn't give them co-creation of the book, because it's only like 27 of them. It's 366 ingredients.
Yeah.
The bulk of the material is mine. But what I did to show my appreciation, if you had the book or if you seen it or whatever, I didn't have to do this part because me just asking them to co-create was fine and dandy. I wrote a whole little thing on each of them, on each one of them, praising them, letting people know where they had books, where their books could be purchased, all that. So I said that right there makes up for me not, saying they co-created this book, which they didn't, because I created the bulk of the material, right? Now, if they would have did a co-piece on the whole book, then of course I would have said this is a collaborative book with me and everybody who was in there, right? But that wasn't the case. So the gumbo was
Ingredients were brought about by other authors to help add to this recipe that you were already making. They were adding some garnish and some
yes,
ingredients as well. And
yes,
I
yes,
wanted to mention that it was Destined, which we haven't talked about yet, Urban Legend, but we've talked about Positive Energy 24/7, the one that I read. Gumbo, Food for Thought, his newest release, are both 5-star, or excuse me, all three are 5 stars on Amazon. You are able to purchase it on Amazon, and you can also contact Henery through his Instagram page here, and he has other items available as well. In speaking of other authors and how you're always including them, has there ever been a writer that has really impacted you, or even just that day made you stop and think, wow, I never thought about it like that, even if it was just for a moment in time or in a big way? Is there anything that you can think of off the top of your head? I'm sure there are numerous things, but anything that you can think of that maybe impacted you?
I wouldn't even want to say one person because that would be doing everyone else a disservice, right? There are so many writers that I'm connected with that have inspired me to create pieces. It's it's just insane. It's insane. It's insane. But I'm self motivated.
Always sharing the spotlight.
Yeah, I'm self motivated, right? But like I like to tell people, there are outside sources that I look to for that outside inspiration. They're like lights, right? And I read their work and I comment on their work, and all my comments are over the top, but they all come from the heart. See, because I know about the power of acknowledgement. We don't share our work for nothing. We share our work because we want people to give us some feedback. How did that make you feel? Like I said, we all want to feel good. So we put our work out there. Yeah. So I always make them feel good. That's my comments are my bread and butter. That's the greatest thing I write is my comments. I get more feedback on my comments than anything else. Because they just leave people awestruck how I feel about their work.
You leave quite the comments. I remember sometimes you leaving them on mine. And I'm like, wow, I really needed that today. That was very. I got like a little mini motivational speech in a comment. I do love how you said and I was going to bring it back to the acknowledgement that people need, even though people are always saying they don't. It just goes back to what we both agree on, that everyone has in common. They want to feel good, and acknowledging someone in numerous ways makes them feel good, and everybody needs to be loved, accepted, and feel part of something.
Absolutely.
In your last two works, they have been nonfiction. Correct me if I'm wrong. In 2019, when you did It Was Destined Urban Legend, that is fiction, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that was about, I believe, 4 teenagers, correct me if I'm wrong, how their lives intertwine and how they essentially become family and just go through life lessons together. Can you tell us a little bit about how you wrote this book and what inspired it, especially since it was fiction, unlike your latter two works? And also, I wanted to say hi to Blood Brother Mike and thank you for joining. He loves your comments too. I think he's trying to say he lives for that. Patty Arias, thank you for joining. And Cobalt's grandma again says she would love to see you again on here.
Oh, I appreciate all those comments, and I appreciate everyone who showed up. I really do.
So tell us, Henry, about It Was Destined and that fictional work. You can also find this on Amazon, and it's his 2019 publication.
Well, I want to go back a bit and speak about the gumbo and my first book, Positive Energy 24/7. If you order an autographed copy of the gumbo, Food for Thought, I will give you the ebook version of Positive Energy 24/7 and a button that says I More Than Matter. I will give you those two items if you order an autographed copy of the gumbo, Food for Thought. That is forever.
Okay.
That is forever. That offer is forever. But now getting to my favorite book of all.
Your favorite?
Of all. Because it was the first book that I attempted to write. Okay. It was the first ever book I attempted to write. It took me 9 years to write that book.
Wow.
And that is the only that book and this short story that I wrote are the only two things I ever formatted. Where I wrote out a blueprint and all the characters, and those two things are the only two things out of all the stuff I've ever written are the only two things that I wrote out a whole concept. I've never wrote after that. It all comes straight from the top of the head. But It Was Destined Urban Legend is about 4 childhood friends. They all grew up right on the same street, maybe houses down from, but they all grew on the same. And their parents was all friends, so they was always hanging together. They older siblings, so they just grew. And as they grew, they were all overachievers, all 4 of them, right? They all did something different, and they all had common things they did too, right? So these young people were so inspiring that people that watched them grow up as little children and toddlers, they were influenced by their actions. See, I made the characters young like that because the book was written for the youth. even though it hasn't gotten there yet, that's why the book was written. It was written for the youth because I believe that the youth are going to influence the elders
100%.
through their
It's the
actions. Through
foundation.
their actions.
100%.
Yes, yes. So that's why I wrote it because, that's why I made the 4 characters young. I made them
Right.
young like that, and the people that was seeing what they was doing, I'm talking about, they was pooling their money together. These young people, none of them 30, they like 20, 24, 25, pooling their money together and buying real estate, beautifying their neighborhood, right? Um, and just doing their own thing, right? Doing their own thing. The book, it's a urban novel like no other. Like no other. It got the urban, it got the street stuff, it got the corporate stuff, it got businesses that I wanted to see in fruition. You know, it, I love the book. I love it. I love
Well,
everything about it.
I remember reading a review. You mentioned that the characters are young adults, and you were looking at targeting that population, maybe initially. But I did remember, or I do remember, excuse me, reading a review that while the characters might be early to mid 20s, that it was really applicable to any adult and many life situations.
Yeah.
And in hearing
Yes.
you talk
Yes.
more about it, I think people can see that. You know, the age of our characters are not important. What they're saying, what they're doing, and how we see them in real life, particularly this being a story of moving on up in the world, also collaborating with people to make a better life and to also bring something back to your community, I think really
Yeah.
represents your motto well of encouragement, enlightenment, and entertainment. So,
Absolutely.
um, what
I
are
want to
some,
say this though, Monique. I want to
yes,
say
yes,
this about a character in my book because he said something that was so profound. He had became very good at the game of basketball, so much so that all the NBA owners wanted him. They wanted him to be a part of his team. So he was about to graduate from college, and he held a press conference because everybody was like, "It's a no-brainer. He going to the NBA. He gonna be an instant millionaire." So he held a press conference, and he shocked everybody when he said that he was not going to the NBA. And they was like, why? So he said, because the NBA is too demanding.
hmm,
I will not be able to spend the time that I want and need with my family and friends. So I'm going to pass on the NBA. And what
wow,
he did, he took his skills, he created his own business, and he taught the youth the game of basketball. But as he was doing it, he gave them something they love, right? So that he can give them something they need. So before he got the practicing started, right? Before he got the practicing started, what he did, he always hit him with some enlightenment. Don't lean on basketball too heavy because if something happened, what are you gonna fall back on? So he was telling them, to explore other avenues. There's nothing wrong with pursuing a basketball career, but don't make that your only focus. Focus on other things. And all these children loved him. I'm talking about they all loved him. They all loved him because he loved them. And the parents loved him too. And he was making a living, a nice living, doing what he loved. So it's so many lessons in that book that not only the youth, like you said, that older people, something that you love doing, you can do it. All you got to do is get out of your own way and do it. So that's why it's my favorite book because there's so many lessons up in there. So many lessons.
I
So
think
many lessons.
the most important thing you said, and again, going back to kids being the foundation of everything in this world, I always say I wish this country would spend more time on the youth because that is the future rather than trying to fix the building way up here, and hope that it doesn't crash down when we already have all this pressure and all these issues. Let's go to the foundation and work from the foundation up. I love that you said give them
Yes.
something they love for something that they need. Before I move to my
Yes.
final 2 questions, if any of you have any questions that you'd like us to present or answer now, please go ahead and put them up and then we'll make sure those are answered. What books are you reading right now? What is something that's on your table You're either reading it now or is coming up for you next. And I know you have like 500.
Wow.
I know Henry, so I know he has like 500 books next to it. And he can, I'm going to challenge you, Henry, to only show me 2 or 3 books that are on your to be read list soon. Only 2 or 3.
Okay. Well, I had to go get them. I had to go get them because I didn't know you was gonna. That was gonna be one of the questions. Because, like you said, we
We can practice.
we yeah we didn't do. This is off the top of the head. You know.
Can you think of an author though that has impacted you, or one that you've been communicating with, or just something on your bedside?
Like I said, I don't want to do that because
Oh,
I have over 100. I have over 100 Instagram author books.
yeah.
Over 100. So, and that's them the books that I'm reading right now. Plus, I be on these other platforms where I'm on a writing platform. And I be reading their works as well. You know, all the people that I'm connected with. So I'm reading their works as well. But I'm reading a book by Melodique_Storm. It's
Okay.
called Lyrics of My Heart. That's the book I'm reading right now. I just interviewed her a couple of days ago. I just interviewed her. I'm reading her book. That's the book I'm reading right now.
Okay.
And
Is it poetry?
it is.
Okay.
Yes.
I know you have really profound poets on your Instagram page that are quite amazing. I mean, they
Yes.
write things that are just astounding. So sometimes I read your page, like I said, I'll open it up and it's like my daily inspiration for the day. It's like my little devotional book. You see your comment, everyone else's comments, and I'm like, I feel like you could write just like a book on your one post in the comments below. So you definitely have to check out his Instagram page. It's just amazing. But again, the duality that he presents things in achieving being positive, but actually being realistic. One of the questions that we have from Annie is if your parents or maybe your family, did anyone encourage your writing growing up?
No, because I wasn't a writer. I was an artist. I used to draw. I
Okay.
could draw you. I was that good. I could draw you. I'm just talking about it was if nobody taught me. Well, my uncle, he was an artist too. My uncle was phenomenal.
Because
I
I
guess
know
I
your
inherited.
uncle was a big influence, right? When we talked about positive
Yes,
energy,
yes,
we talked about your uncle.
absolutely.
So you
Yeah,
weren't
and
writing
my
at
uncle.
the time, you were doing art. Was your uncle
Yeah.
someone that encouraged you if you didn't have it from your parents? He was like your encouragement?
Well, as just as far as you know, because I had lost touch with my uncle, but just as far as me knowing about his life through my mom, which is his sister, right? That inspired me, right? Because I used to like drawing little cartoon characters and putting gold chains on them and having them next to having them next to lowrider trucks and
Right.
stuff like that, right? So that's in Flair Flintstone and all that. That's what I was drawing, and then I got off into drawing people, right? And I was like, I like this. So then I started drawing clothes. I was a clothing designer, right? So I wanted to design my own clothes because I didn't like what was out. So I wanted to make my own clothes. I don't like them clothes. I want to design my own clothes, you know. And it wasn't until um, a brother gave me the book, the autobiography of Malcolm X, that
Mm.
started everything. That
I
book right there
remember
started everything.
that just rang a
Yeah,
bell from I mean, it's been like 2 years plus, you guys, that we've talked here like this, but I remember that coming up. Like you
yeah,
said, everyone wants to feel good. Everyone needs encouragement. And you found that encouragement in not necessarily in your writing yet, but by your uncle sharing support for what you were doing and being there for you. And then later through the works of Malcolm X, which I think is very powerful. Um,
yeah.
your imagination, and I don't know if it's Carry-On or Carry-On. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. Thank you for joining us. Another question we have is, this is also from Annie. Are there any personal experiences that you're afraid to write about?
Hmm.
That's an interesting one because you do bring up, as we mentioned, the homelessness in personal and positive energy 24/7, your work in 2018. And you have brought up so many things and you are so open, but are there times, and you don't have to mention obviously what the topics are, but are there times, and I've done that in my writing. My first one was based on a true life instance that I turned into fiction. Do you ever have that moment where you're like, should I go there? I'm kind of not sure I really want to go there, even if I change the name and the places. Do you ever have that moment? Oh, I think we lost him for a second, but I'm sure he'll come back in a second. That's a really good question, Annie. As I was telling the audience while we wait for Henery to join back in, it definitely sometimes makes you stop and think as a writer, do I want to go there? You either might not want to have your family affected by it. You might not want to relive that pain. One thing that I heard him mention earlier as we were speaking is that sometimes you really have to go through it before you get past it. And, you know, sometimes that means going through some really hard situations in life. It means having hard conversations. It means going to therapy. I always tell people that go to therapy for the first time, don't expect some magic pill. It's not going to perfectly work out the first time. You got to put in the hard work, and it's going to really suck for a little bit before it gets better. So I love that he has been willing to do that in his other works, but that is a really good question, and I think he's joining us back now. Hey, Henry, we were just recapping what we were talking about. I was mentioning how with my first book, and I know other writers sometimes mention, are we going to go there with a personal experience? So have you ever had that time where you're like, not going to go there for whatever reason? You don't want people you know to read it and recognize it might be them, or you just don't want to relive that pain. Have you ever had that moment?
Well, I like to say every moment has its time, right? I told somebody a long time ago that, you know, it's parts about my life that I haven't shared with anyone. Not saying that they don't already know through other sources or what have you. I don't know, but it's parts of my life I haven't shared yet, and the reason why is because I was trying to reach a certain like level. So I was trying to show people that you can have been here and now you're here. You see what I'm saying? Because I like to tell people that it's not our light that attract people that's in the dark. It's our darkness. See, they can't comprehend that light. We have to go where they are and let them know we can relate to where they are. So when they be like, hold on, wait a minute, you're trying to tell me you were once here, but now you're right there? See, that's when the revelation hit them that there is something other than this darkness. And that's when change happens. It doesn't happen because they see us shining and all that. No, we got to go back and be like, look, before the shine, I was in the dark. In the darker the darkness, the brighter the shine, right? So yeah. I was way past where you are. You know what you're talking about. You going through a cakewalk. I was in some real darkness. You know, with monsters, right? So when they hear that, they can't help but start walking out the dark and towards their own light, right? Towards their own light. So I'm trying to get to that status where people they won't believe it. They'll be like, no way, absolutely not, right? I'll be like, yes.
What you said is so powerful. I hope my friend's awake after this. Some need to have an emergency girl talk after this. The darkness is what attracts people and not the light. That is so crazy, so mind-blowing when I think of, I have like 1,000 things running through my head with that. And that's why you are relaying certain life things and experiences that you've had in your works and how you turn that around, but you are saving that for another time. And when people get to see more and more of this light, you can then say, let me tell you a little bit more, because you haven't kept it all away. Let me tell you a little bit more of this darkness, because from this darkness will come light. And now that we can both relate to the darkness, both of our lights will be bigger.
Absolutely. 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 So look at this, Monique.
Yes. I'm going to be upvoted.
Light, look,
Hyper right now.
light, light only shines its brightest
In the
based
dark.
off the darkness that it's in, right?
Right.
So look, the darker our past are, right? The brighter our light is gonna be. You know, it's gonna be so illuminating that everybody around the world is gonna see it. They're gonna see it and start walking towards it like, oh my God, what is this, right? But then once you see, that's the whole goal. Once you get them all of them, you got their undivided attention. Now, let me hit you with a revelation. See, this is when everybody in there is going to change. I don't know what kind of change going to happen, but it's going to be for the better. Because they're going to be like, oh my God, no, no. Be like, yes, yes. That is not possible. It is. I'm living proof. I'm living proof of it. You see me right here. That's why you came here. You came here because you thought you was going to hear something else. But I'm going to hit you with a totally different thing that's going to be even better than what you thought you was going to hear when you came here. So that's the goal.
Well,
that's the goal right there.
It reminds me back to what we were talking about in self-preservation and balancing it with doing good for others, in going to tell them something, and even if only what they're giving you is their attention, that's a form of respect. And if they're respecting you, they're listening from the place, of light, you can tell them about the dark. You can both move forward. It brings me back also to you and your acronym for power, providing others with effective resources. I feel like that should be on the manual for every manager, every teacher, every principal, every government head. They need that tattooed. I'll get my tattoo and they could get that one tattooed. Annie and Mitch Ray and Cobalt's grandma all are saying amen, totally agree, unreal, how powerful you are. I want to end with Cobalt's grandma's question, and I'm sure what you guys want to know after hearing him speak is, what is next for you? You alluded in the beginning of this interview to 2022. Tell me what is coming for your readers, for my readers, for our audience, and how you are going to continue this encouragement, enlightenment, and entertainment that you so have masterfully perfected.
Absolutely. So, my goal is a lofty goal, but it's a goal that's obtainable, no doubt. Is to write 10 books in 10 years. So 2018 was the beginning. Then 1920, and I have my book 2022. It's already ready. It's all, I got everything. Everything. I can put it out right now if I wanted to, but I'm still promoting the gumbo, food for thought. I'm gonna have a cover reveal in November. I'm gonna reveal the cover of that book, and in December I'm gonna have it for sale. So
this is right. That's not far from that at all.
Yeah, like I said, I can put the book out right now. It's already done. All of it. Everything's done. I can sell it. I can sell it if I wanted to right now, but I don't. So, everything I do is strategically done. So, I'm working on my 5th book. My 5th book is going to be entitled Greatest Licks. It's a play on like greatest hits.
Right.
It's going to be a collaboration of my all-time favorite pieces that I've written in my 26 years of writing. So it's going to be articles, short stories, poetry, acronyms, skits, just everything.
4?
5th.
5. Okay. So
yeah, my 4th book is called. My 4th book is called Far From Fiction. Short stories meant to influence reality. Yeah, I think it's like 15 short stories.
Okay.
And they all got some powerful morals. And they're all meant to have an individual start provoke thought and activate action. So I'm very proud of that book. That's the 4th book that I can actually start selling now if I wanted to. And like I said, the 5th book is Greatest Licks, a collection of my all-time favorite literary masterpieces. That's the title of that book.
I love that. That's your girl, Layla. Thank you for joining. We were just asking Henry what's next for him. So we are looking out for December 2022, right? For Far From Fiction, a collection of short stories, excuse me, and book 5 coming around the corner to achieve his goal of 10 books in 10 years. But I think more importantly in that, you have really achieved your goal of powerful writing, and the acronym that you gave us, providing others with effective resources, writing with purpose, writing on purpose with a purpose, excuse me, writing on purpose with a purpose for
No,
encouragement.
it's writing with purpose on purpose.
Writing with purpose.
Writing with purpose on purpose. Yes.
There we go. There we go. Thank you. And your encouragement, enlightenment, and entertainment, I think, sums you up beautifully. I so appreciate your time today. I really, really am looking forward to continuing to interact with you and just seeing what you have to offer this world, because I think it's great and I think it's going to have a huge impact.
Well, I appreciate, again, the opportunity, Monique. You know, it's always a great honor to be on the other side or at the bottom of this virtual interview type situation, because I'm usually at the top. You know, but it's always a great thing to be at the bottom, right? And to just have people appreciate you to the point where they want to have you come on their platform and hear what you have to say, that's, you know, that's a great honor, you know, and it humbles me.
A lot to say, and a lot to say with a purpose. Thank you for focusing on our youth. Thank you for reminding us that we need to focus on our foundation. Thank you for telling us how we can preserve ourselves, but we can help others as well. Thank you for all of your inspiration, and I look forward to speaking to you again, Henry. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening.
You have a better one, Monique.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So good. Thank you so much.